Welcome to the One More Rep podcast, where we take it beyond the barbell. I am your host, Mo Dingo, and with me is Bro Cephas. What up?
What the hell is that? That's the straight hillbilly name, man. I'm straight hillbilly. just ask Stu, but what's up?
What is up? I have a delicious Rhinegeist. A local,
sounds empty.
Yeah, it is getting empty. Brewery down from just down the road, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Drinking the Peach Dodo Sour Ale Gozy, yeah. And then, bro, what do you got?
Drinking old school, nowhere in particular. Thanks to our Pete Carey Combs, batch number 19. It's a double rice IPA. It's one of their better IPAs they made. It's it's a lot smoother. It's Mo's favorite because he's Japanese. So,
Hey, got to stick with what I know.
Get that. Hey, he can't eat the rice, so he can drink the rice.
I got to drink it. Yeah.
Speaking of eating rice, we'll talk about that today, huh?
Yeah, in today's episode, we're going to talk about nutrition. Before we get started, we'd like to make a little bit of announcement. Brody had a conversation with the company that was doing apparel for an upcoming competition, which is taking place in September, right?
Yep, it's ours.
And this is our
fifth.
Fifth? Okay.
Fifth Smash Fest.
Okay.
Yep.
And that'll be taking place here. So if you want to come and swing by, I'll be here to DJ and watch everybody suffer while Bro subjects everybody to his programming. But the company that he talked to was
7.5
Clothing. Okay.
And it's pretty cool how things kind of transpire. You know, I always believe there's certain people that you come across that you kind of you really hit it off with. Mm-hmm. And initially I contacted them about doing our in-house apparel for our gym, mm-hmm. and also our event t-shirts. And just randomly sent him a message after a competition one day and called him. We had set up a meeting for that following Monday to have a chat. And it's like, as soon as you instantly start talking to someone, you know, like you're on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I felt about when I talked to Wally at 7.5 Clothing. And at the end of the conversation, actually I was talking about Brandon Martell and the Fit United, about how he's looking for events to go and set up at because he's out of Tennessee. And I was telling him about that. And the podcast was part of the conversation. I was like, about us running a podcast, and he asked the name of it. Mm-hmm. And I told him, One More Rep podcast. He's like, well, I've heard of that. And I was like,
what?
That's freaking cool. What's up, man? Hey. And we started talking about that and how our episodes kind of, or we would consider the majority of CrossFitters and the 99%, where we also give info.
Speak to,
but we also give info to that 1%. Can't leave them out. But he brought it up, asked if we would ever be interested in doing sponsorship. And he didn't know Mo and I had talked about this, like the what ifs, and I hate freaking what ifs. But we were talking about it a little bit, and
like what our ideal sponsorship situation would look like and what we would look for, and like kind of the relationship, and
without it screwing up
what it is we deliver to you guys.
Yeah, because if you listen to some of these other ones, it's like this verbatim crap on paper that is annoying.
The reading
to
a
me.
script,
yeah,
or it's right in the middle of the episode,
right? And this company's legit, man. I couldn't be more excited. I told Mo about it, and we had a conference call
2 days ago.
A couple days. Well,
Yeah.
We had a conference call the following week, and kind of hammer out the details. And they're officially our first sponsor, which is legit, man.
Yeah. So we are officially. This episode is being brought to you by 7.5 Clothing.
Yeah.
A veteran owned and operated. I actually had a chance to talk to Wally a little bit. He's a former security policeman. So if you're Air Force, you know how far that goes back. But he was a dog handler as well. I know we got a couple dog handlers listening out there. So all you canine guys, huge shout out for what you do. So it's also cool that he's an Air Force veteran. So we have that commonality as well. But also the products, you're looking at all the shirts and everything. They're pretty sweet.
Dude. He does all of his own design. He does all of his own printing. So he does it all, which is huge for me as a business, because going to them, it's a one-stop shop, and there's no middleman. Mm-hmm. I don't have to wait. Like his turnaround's his turnaround. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah, he's not waiting on the designer or someone
the
to bring
printers.
t-shirts. Yep.
And honestly, go check his stuff out. And we don't talk about crap that we
don't believe
don't believe in. And his designs they're legit. In all honesty, they're very cool. And I think it's cool. His story we can briefly talk about. He started off. Yeah. He started off making one shirt, one t-shirt. He made a red t-shirt, which is Remember Everyone Deployed.
Yeah, red on Fridays. Yep.
And he, for the sole purpose of making the one shirt, he was doing it to raise money so he could buy care packages
to send to folks downrange.
Yeah, to send overseas for deployed soldiers. And that's how it all started, with one t-shirt. And then he got into CrossFit and then it's kind of just been steamrolling. Now he has like over 5,000 followers on Instagram. He's been around for 5 years. He's killing it. So him and his wife, Jennifer, have just been on fire, and I think it's legit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a family owned and operated business. But again, he is a CrossFitter. He is a veteran. As Brody has said before, we're very pro military, pro Leo, all that good stuff. So it really fits into what it is we believe in as humans. And we're pretty confident that you guys feel the same way. So take care of our very first sponsor. Just go to his website, the number 7, and then the word 5clothing.com for his website. Check out all his gear and
get on Instagram. They have a very active Instagram page, which I think is cool. Most companies it's hard. Me and him were actually talking about that. His wife took it over because it's too consuming. And
you have to be very active,
dude. Since Jenna's taken our stuff over, that's why there's more and more content coming out, guys. Because Mo and I just weren't able to do what she can do. Yeah, we were like at about 308, and I think we're at
308 and standing.
What are we at, Jenna? Yeah, we're at 308 and we're at 436, and that's just like in a month that she's done. And she's been releasing this good content, and I think it's cool to do that because it keeps us in touch with all of you on a daily basis. And it's not that she's just putting it. We all sit down and had this as one direction, not just Jenna randomly throwing shit up there.
Yeah, and then she posted in one of the stories the other day, like, ask us questions. So that was kind of cool to fire back and forth to people in there as well.
Mona Zima.
Yes, that's where my silky smooth voice comes from.
So if I start drinking Zima and
Jolly Ranchers,
I'm gonna have your
sound
voice
like Barry White. Yeah,
dude, I'm on it. I don't even know if it's worth it though. I mean, honestly, I'll just take the white ass voice.
There you go. All right. So today, our episode, we've had listeners actually ask us about this particular topic
forever. It's like one of the original requests,
and we haven't been putting it off just to be stalling or to be lax about it. But bro wanted to really put together some solid information.
I still don't know if I have it, Mo.
But just like I say before, bro, every time we're done recording episode, bro's like, I don't think that was too good. And then as soon as he listens to it, man, that episode rocked. So same thing I'm sure will happen here as we're going to talk about just general nutrition today and kind of give you just a broad overview. Neither one of us are nutrition experts. We're not licensed dietitians or anything, but we've seen, helped, read, and maybe gives people a little bit coaching when it comes to nutrition. But,
I do a lot of the nutrition for our gym, especially, and then our athletes. And I'll be honest, like for our 95% of members, I was, no issues. And I was running into an issue though with our top competitors because of the amount of volume they do. We obviously need to increase their food properly, but you have to do it delicately because we can't have them gain weight. Because like if Jenna is plus 5 pounds and then we take 5 pounds off, her gymnastics improve dramatically. 5 or 6 pounds does that much for a female. So it's very delicate. How do you feed someone a ton of food?
Good food,
but not doing too much so that they're retaining inflammation. They gain some body fat. They're holding more water, all this crap. I mean, that's the side that was kind of it was my weakest. I'm not weak at it, but if I had to look at my total skill, it was my weakest. So I've been working with someone to kind of get that honed in for our top tier athletes. And I'm learning a ton, and I love applying the knowledge that I'm gaining, not only to myself, but to our top athletes and everybody else.
Yeah. So as an owner, why do most people approach you about pursuing a nutrition program?
Here we do it a little different in the fact that I always say that we do everything different because I guess we're freaking different. But we don't push nutrition on people, right? I truly believe that nutrition needs to be a natural progression in fitness because we've talked about you can't force someone to quit smoking. I can't force someone to start and stay on nutrition because staying on nutrition is the hardest thing, right? So they usually come to me saying, hey, top 3 things I hear is first is usually performance.
They plateau.
They want the performance to go up. Like, so let's say they're getting halfway through a WOD and they just don't feel like they have the energy, or they can get through our strength cycle, and then by the time they get into the WOD, they're pretty tired.
Okay.
So performance base is huge. They want to lose body fat, okay, and they want to gain muscle tone or definition in their bodies. That's the top 3, and people want to just look good. For the amount of work they put in, they want to start benefiting from
see
nutrition.
some physical results,
right? Because we've always talked about you can come in here and crush a workout, and then you can ruin it with one meal, and you do that over and over again. The saying is you can never out-train a bad diet.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the direction. It's very general, and it's there's some complexity to it. But we'll talk a little bit about that. That's how it starts. Though they just come in, they're ready. They're ready to make that step. I don't ever prod people if they start slacking off, but if they start kind of falling short on a lot of workouts, I'll ask them, like, hey, what's up with your food? Like, you should be performing much better. And I have a girl right now in our gym we really need to sit down and talk because her nutrition's off, but her ability to push further than what she does and harder in workouts is there. She has the capacity to. She doesn't have the proper food.
Fuel.
Yeah, she don't have the fuel to do it.
Now, why do you think, or what do you think is a major contributing factor as to why people don't pursue an appropriate or diet at all?
I think it's the unknown. A lot of people I found from owning a gym, they're afraid to ask questions. Okay. Of what they don't know. And
because no one likes to look stupid.
Exactly. Yeah. And once they get over that, like, hey, I'm not going to look stupid.
No one likes to have the perception of seeming unintelligent about something. They might not be stupid. They might be scared.
They're not stupid, but people don't want to look stupid. Really anything. I mean, I guess I don't care, but I'll do whatever. And if I look stupid, it is what it is. But you're right. I think that when people they don't know a lot about something, they don't have confidence in it. It's kind of like they're very timid. And so I think that's the one reason why they don't do it. The second is they love food. Yeah. And they probably know that they can't eat the exact same way they're eating when they're trying to clean up their nutrition for performance-based reasons. And so that's another one. Like, they're not ready to commit to that, and that's why we talk about they got to come to me saying they're ready because I can't convince them to stop eating the crap that they're eating. And I'd say that's the top 2 to me.
And when you're talking about the challenges of eating, and I've mentioned before in our body image episode, where a lot of times people have an emotional attachment to food. Because for all of our lives, food has always been there.
And that can be culture based too, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and that was another thing. You look at the food pyramid that we had in the 80s. Where this huge base of carbs and grains, and then if that's all you've ever known, and some people have that that familial attachment. Well, mom always fed me all this stuff, so why do I need to change this now? And that can be a bit of a challenge. Or if you just come from a culture that doesn't eat a lot of protein and red meat, that could be another challenge as well. Sometimes the economics of it, eating healthy isn't
not
cheap.
No, it's the most expensive, and it's been one of my pet peeves as a citizen of this country. Obviously,
it's absolutely insane that it costs.
You can 99 cents for two
double cheeseburgers and fries. But if I want a salad, and it's even a shitty salad at a fast food store, it's like 4 or 5 times as much.
It is. And you go to produce, and produce is high, and and then you start getting into meat. I mean, you learn how to shop better when you eat healthy. I would agree. Because if not, your budget is just crazy. It's out there.
Yeah, and as I've adopted, into a healthier eating lifestyle, and one of the benefits of where we live is there's farms all over the place. So going to, straight to the source and buying food from farmers markets and buying meat from butchers, the cost is, the initial upfront cost is high, but when you break it down per pound,
I was getting ready to say that meat market isn't cheap.
No, not
right? It's not like
when I was in Texas though, I mean, man, talk about a culture shock when I left Texas and moved to Ohio. Like the price of beef like jumped significantly.
Yeah, I think that's, going to the meat market's good for a couple of reasons. One, you're supporting your local business.
Yeah.
Two, it's locally sourced typically, right? You know that the animals are not, being injected with all this crap. And it's still just expensive. It's just you're paying $5 a pound for hamburger, and $4.50 to $5 a pound for hamburger. But it's worth it in my opinion. The chicken that you're getting is legitimate chicken. It's not these steroid beasts.
Yeah, those chicken farms where they just put them in there.
And lastly, when you cook this in comparison to like buying meat at Walmart or Kroger, you don't even have to cook it. You can see the difference. You can
smell the difference.
The texture is different. It's not as greasy, and the color is definitely different. And then the taste is not even comparable. No, it's definitely not comparable. We got Harens and here in Troy, and then we have the Sunset Meat Market in Piqua. Those are the two places I always go to for meat, and that's just the way it is.
And we got Copey's right down the street too. We're lucky to have a lot of those resources, and some people may not, but you kind of have to look. It's part of the investment of being a healthier version of you.
And we talk about intimidation. I mean, I remember the first time, a long time ago, when I went to the meat market, I was intimidated because I didn't know what I wanted.
You don't know how much meat you need.
Yeah, it's just weird. Everybody's there. They're just going through because they come in there.
Every Saturday they're coming in.
You're
buying
right.
Meat, yeah.
And I feel like a jackass. Like what do I say? And then so go in there, and it's cool. They love
They love rookies. Yeah.
But I tell you, the two that I deal with, they love CrossFitters because we buy so much meat. I'd be like, I need 18 pounds of chicken. They're like, what?
You having a barbecue?
No. This is for the week. For the week? Yeah. What's the problem?
Like, how many kids do you have? None.
Yeah. What are you trying to say? You calling me fat? So no. Yeah. So they love. We buy in bulk.
Now, some of the misconceptions on diet, I think a lot of people sometimes think they know what a healthy diet is, but it's not always on target.
No, I think they think that they know, not that they do know. They don't know. And I'm going to say that because I do have experience in the fact that I've ran probably 60 to 70 plus through nutrition since we've been open. And every single person, I've sat down with maybe a handful of people who kind of knew what was up. And they were just
needed some tweaking.
Like they're, too low protein, too high but the carb, and their fat was just kind of off. But majority of people are definitely way off the mark. They're not even close.
So I think one of the challenges that I can speak from personal experience is my thought process and the way I was raised is that, well, if I eat less, I'll lose weight.
Right. Yeah. I'll take this to my parents. I mean, they're just one of those other mind-blowing things. Like, I know a little bit about nutrition. I could definitely help them out.
Yeah.
They'll never let me. Like, I'll die before they let me help them with nutrition.
With the meal planning. Yeah.
And just like they think they can't do CrossFit, and that is just, it drives me nuts. So my dad would eat like a salad for lunch, and I'm like, Dad,
Dad, that's water.
You're 225, 230. You need more than a salad.
Yeah.
And that's all he'll skip breakfast, eat a salad, and eat dinner. I'm like, well, yeah, now your body's gonna just
starving.
You're gonna hold on to everything you eat, and it's gonna start storing it because that's just how we're built. In the DNA.
Yeah, and not understanding that was counterintuitive to what I needed early on in my CrossFit career, because I had a lot more free time. I was working out, doing sometimes 2 workouts a day, but I was keeping myself to like below 2,000 calories.
Which calories, I think that's another one we'll talk about. It's like, it's not always calorie based. It's I think it's a huge another misconception is it's all about your calories.
But I flat out wasn't eating enough.
Yeah, and I think that that's most people, or if they overeat the wrong things and undereat what they should be eating more of. And starving your body will never work, okay? Because what's going to happen is you'll finally hit a point, you'll have weight loss. Hey, I lost 12 pounds this week. Yeah, because you didn't eat. Like, you know what? If I don't eat for 7 days, I'm going to lose weight.
Yeah.
But it's that rapid weight loss, that sudden change to which people always fall back off the wagon. That's why, I see so many people do Weight Watchers and this and that, and they always fall off because it's not working for them. It may work initially, but long term it doesn't, because they cannot sustain that week after week after week, month after month after month. They can't sustain that because it becomes something you are.
It becomes a challenge.
It's a challenge, but it's something that ends up.
It's hard. It's hard work. And an example on the flip side of that is when I was doing the RP for a little bit, I got to a point where I didn't want to eat anymore because I had to eat so much according to my template, and I was getting sad. Like I would sit there like on my fourth meal in a day, and I was like, I don't want to eat anymore.
Yeah, and
I couldn't do it. I couldn't make myself eat anymore.
It goes both ways as far as undereating, overeating. It's if you don't get in that sweet spot, then you start to dread it. That's what I was looking for. You start to dread this nutrition plan that you're on, and then when you start dreading something, then you get away from it.
You're not invested.
Yep, you get away from it.
You're less committed.
Mm-hmm. And that's everything in life, from CrossFit to work to everything. Like when you start dreading it, it really just takes you to another realm you shouldn't go to.
Yeah. And then the flip side of that is eating more will make you gain weight again. Going back to my story, being a former fat kid, I had a coach tell me I need to ramp up my calories significantly, and I was like, no, I'll get fat again. It was a hard pill for me to swallow to get over that emotional hump of having to eat more food, but eating more good food.
Yeah, and I'll give you a good example. Just worked with this guy. Actually comes to our gym. He was on a keto diet for, I know it was at least a year, I think. He was 280 pounds. Mm-hmm. And he's now down to 215 was his last weigh-in.
That's pretty significant.
But he went from 280 down to 210, 212, something like that on his keto diet. And when we sat down, his performance was dropping. It was just, keto doesn't have carbohydrates. He was eating like 14 carbs a day. A day.
Yeah, which is nothing.
I mean, I look at like rice and it gives me 14 carbs. I don't even have to eat it. So 14 carbs a day is non-existent, but he's eating like almost 200 grams of fat, and his protein was off the charts too, like 300 plus. And we'll talk about this later in the podcast, but you got to have carbs for CrossFit, okay? Because if you don't, I don't care. You're fat. You can eat as much fat as you want. I'm telling you, it's not going to transfer to the wad floor. So he's barely making it through our strength, okay? And he was getting to the wad and just getting hammered after the first couple minutes of it and had zero energy. Introducing carbohydrates and how we do it here, he had this huge fear of weighing himself. He thought he was going to gain all this weight back because
now he's eating carbs again.
He got down from 280, which at his body height is definitely way overweight. And gets down from 280 to 215, feels great about himself. And now we're saying now he's got to switch this. Now he's got to eat something he thinks is going to put fat on him. And it was the first 2 weeks before we had her weigh in. After that, he was thinking he was going to come in and weigh like 250 pounds. So we finally had our 1 month checkup, and he had actually lost, I think, 2 pounds, and he was thinking he was going to weigh 250 pounds. He thought he was going to gain all this weight because of how much food he was eating, and he was very apprehensive. And then we had our 1 month checkup, and we just retested his push press max when he started. He came from another gym. He had a 110 pound push press max, and he tried 115, and he couldn't even get under. Like he would push jerk 115, and I think it was this past Friday he had an 80 pound PR and hit 190 push press. and in that small amount of time frame.
Yeah.
But his overall body type has changed. He's filling out, he's gaining the muscle, the body fat's staying down. So it's hard for people when they have this vision of what they used to be, and they don't want to ever go back to it. And they think that if they change anything, that's exactly what's going to happen
again. Yeah.
And this is the psychology side of dieting and nutrition.
And it's not always about the calories, like we just said here. But then with that, there's such thing as good versus bad calories.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, hitting calories is not hard if you eat the wrong food, right?
Yeah.
Like I think right now I'm at with the food that I am eating daily, the right food, my calories are like at 2,800. Okay. If I was to ignore my numbers that I need to hit on the macro side and focus just on the calories, on the caloric side, I would grossly undereat because I could easily get those calories by eating more fat. So I would miss all my numbers. I eat more fat. My carbs would be down and my protein would probably be way too high, but I would hit my numbers, but I'd be grossly under eating in the carb side, which is going to, in essence, screw up my recovery and in my workouts.
And like you just said, bad calories are bad calories. I mean, you can get
1,000 calorie Big Mac or
a steak, some sweet potatoes.
Right. I mean, the portion is not even comparable.
The amount of food that you would get out of those better calories.
You're talking like 12 ounces of chicken. You're talking about 250 grams of potatoes and probably 240 grams of rice. And that's going to equal around 1,000, close to 1,000 most likely. Or you can eat one Big Mac.
One Big Mac, which will probably be like, I think it's 1,200 something for a Big Mac.
Something, dumb. That's not even the fries, and
or even some of those damn drinks from like those fancy coffee shops. Yeah. I remember I go there, I'll drink like black coffee or tea. And when they started putting the calories up there, I was like, holy garbage.
Stupid, dude.
That's
like
obscene.
It is the absolute fast food of coffee. I mean, how the hell do you make fast food coffee? It's just stupid. Like, make me some coffee, not all this sugar and crap in it.
And you've mentioned a couple diet plans. You mentioned keto, and you talked about macros a little bit, but there's some other ones that we kind of encounter in the CrossFit ecosystem. So there's zone and zone prescription.
Yeah, and paleo. Long time ago, paleo was always talked about at the L1. That switched. Hell, it's been probably 6 years ago since I went to.
Yeah. When I went to in 16, they were talking about zone.
So they switched. They finally realized zone and CrossFit paleo and CrossFit do not mix.
Yeah.
If you do a true paleo diet, you cannot eat enough fat. I don't care.
So paleo, just like a basic description.
No carbs, fat and protein.
Meat green is how I've always described it to people.
And it was so funny. Okay, so when these hardcore paleo people, and they finally realized that their act was up and that they had to have carbs to function. This is in the CrossFit community. They started saying you could use tuber, I think is what they called it, vegetables, and they considered sweet potato tuber vegetables because it was a root. I'm like, bro, it's a carb. Just call it a carb. Like, you need carbs, and you're trying to make up another name for it because you want to say you do paleo. Like, whatever. Do what you want to do, but paleo does not work. Zone and zone prescription, slightly different. Zone was compared to a template type thing that Mo was talking RP. RP is a template based. It's not specific to Mo, right? They didn't take his body fat or anything.
Oh, they took my height, my weight, and my activity. Okay. Those are the three things they take into account. And then what I want to accomplish, because they have like a bulking template, they have a slimming template, and I don't remember I think there's one other one. Like if I wanted to like become it's mostly used with weightlifters, Olympic lifters. And there was one, like if I wanted to make the national team, like I had to go on this particular template. Not happening. Yeah.
Get on this diet and you're on the national team. Or zone prescription. Matt Chan actually started this probably 7 years ago or something. It's where you take people's body weight, measure their fat. Okay. Then you find their lean body mass. Okay. And then that's what you feed.
So do you use like a dunk tank or blood pod?
I always use the calipers.
Okay.
Yeah. I would always pinch. So, it's not 100% accurate on that. Only the bod pod is the most accurate, but, so you would feed the lean body mass. And so it's basically stripping all your body completely of fat. and then you're feeding whatever your bones, tissue, and organs weigh or are, and that's what you're feeding. The problem that I ran into with zone prescription,
which you actually used for a while,
forever, and I use all of our athletes, was the amount of food was just not enough. Even if I ramped it up to 0.9, it's just there's a mathematical equation you use based off activities. Most people are at 0.7, but your higher athletes 0.9, 0.95 is what you would take. And even those numbers were still under. And that's where I was banging my head against the wall because could not get them enough food without feeling tired, miserable, or whatever. So like anything I've done in my entire life, when I need help, I'm going to find someone that I trust in that field, and then I'm going to ask them. And that's what I did. And I'm still in that process, learning a ton.
And the macros,
macros is the zone in essence, right? Zone is basically a macro based thing. It's just done in what they call blocks.
Okay.
I think it's a great thing to start. I would say 95% of people could do zone diet and have great results. But if you're working out 3 times a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, it's pretty tough to do it. You need more. Okay. You need to check your feeding times and such. But it's protein, carbs, fats for the zone, and it's protein, carbs, fats for macros. And they're in essence measured the same, but a true macros, your numbers tend to be a lot higher. And I think I've combined my knowledge of zone and now everything I'm learning about the true macro side, and I'm combining it. And it's actually, it's pretty sweet, man, that the crap that I'm learning. And that's what I like to do. I like to take all the knowledge that I can and then put my own spin on it. And that's what I'm in the process of doing.
And the challenge that a lot of people face with any of these programs is it's hard. It's time consuming. It's a lot of work, especially in the beginning when you're like weighing your food and understanding, how your body's going to react to eating at certain times based off when you work out or what your goals are, whether you're trying to cut, whether you're trying to gain, bulk, whatever. So, and I think that's a lot of times where people get unhappy with whatever it is they're working with because it's hard. It's not easy.
It's harder than any workout you'll ever do.
I would totally agree with that. Yeah. Trying to balance your diet correctly is way more challenging than trying to get through a 30-minute walk.
Especially when you are starting out, right? My initial sit down is very long with people. It could be 90 minutes. And it's really stripping away everything what they've been eating, what their goals are, or the direction we need to go, explaining all of this, the direction that we're going to go, why we're doing it, and what they can expect. But yeah, it's very challenging. And in the big portion of that, we talk about food prep and meal prepping will take a lot of stress off of you
because it takes away some of the thinking.
Well, all the work's done in one day, right, for the week. So it may take you 3 hours to meal prep or 2.5 hours to meal prep.
But then the rest of the week
you don't have to cook.
You just go in the microwave or the fridge, pull out whatever container.
There's a couple great things about meal prepping, right? One is you get to go home, grab something and warm it up and you're done. And it's exactly measured to what you're supposed to eat, right? 2, when you do that, it keeps you from making bad choices, because if you don't meal prep and you get busy and you go to work and you don't have food on you, you're starving, because now your timing's off. Now you don't have anything to eat. Now you're gonna make a bad choice, and or you're not going to eat.
Yes,
right. Because you don't want to make a bad choice.
Which is equally as bad.
Yeah, because you're going to go work out, right? We talked about that's just your transition period of life.
Work is just your transition.
So you're transitioning all day, and we're trying to prep ourselves to come in and bust this wad out, and we can't because we are now underfed, and you'll know it, and you're gonna start out in that first 10 minutes, you'll be like on fire, and that last 10 minutes you'll be like you can't even function. So I think meal prep's huge. But the time that it does take initially is a lot, and there's a learning curve. If you're doing a straight macro based, you got to learn that if your fats are low based off of where you're at in that macro plan, your beef is gone. Unless you're eating sirloin or filet, it's gone.
Well, that's what I usually rock.
There you go. Yeah. And then you can,
Yeah.
but your 85-15 hamburger's gone. Your 90-10, that's still sketchy, because you're going to find out that when you put that in MyFitnessPal, which is what we use to track everything, when you put that in, it says you right there, bro. You just use 1/3 of your fats
for the day
the day in one meal.
Yeah,
and that's pretty tough.
Now, so you've had experience with zone, paleo, and macros.
Done all three now. Yep.
So with the exception of keto,
you
haven't done that one.
Never will.
But in your experience and for the coaching that you've been given, what do you feel like there is a best practice in terms of diet for CrossFitters? Because that's mainly who we're talking to here.
CrossFitters, you gotta find something that gives you the carbohydrates, and that's just the reality of it. We were sitting here talking before the show. It's like, find out what works best for you, and I think that's critical. But without a doubt, you can challenge me all day long on that. You CrossFit with paleo, and I'll say, yeah, you CrossFit with paleo, but you're not getting the results you could from the recovery and the performance-based side of that. You got to have the carbohydrates. Things really took off with the macros, with RP strength templates and the working against the gravity. There's other stuff out there. I truly believe the best nutrition is when, just like programming, when it's specific to you, right? Anytime I sit down with someone, when I sit down, no one gets the same plan. No one gets the same numbers.
You just don't hand out photocopied sheets and say, all right, everybody do this. Yeah.
No, it's based off of where they're at specifically, what they have been eating, sometimes we can, and this is one of the greatest things I learned working with Anthony, knowledge bombs. But that's all he offers really, but he's an affiliate owner out of Indiana, and he's a law enforcement officer as well.
Okay.
And he went to regionals way back in the day. And
what's his box?
CrossFit
Tactical strength?
Yeah.
Oh,
Tactical strength.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah. Anyways, so he started his own company, and I actually kind of reached out to him, just kind of picking his brain on, at the time it was Presley and Jenna, because I needed specific things for two people. And we're just going back and forth, and kind of hit it off. And he had just started a nutrition company, and I was like, well, I need to learn. And I was open with him. I was like, hey man, I want to do this for a couple reasons. I was in a pretty big rut, working out wise. I could
personally,
yeah,
okay.
Like 9 months. I've never ever in my life, ever, in anything that I've ever done, lacked motivation to get myself up and moving. Like, there might be a week that I would do it in a year, where I'd be like, become a little bitch and not do things. And I'm always able to pick myself up and be like, hey, it's time to go. And I was in a big rut, so I did it for a couple reasons. One, I wanted someone to answer to. As a coach and as an owner, you really don't answer anybody, and you get the least amount of corrections as far as movement wise as a trainer, because you're
seen as an authority figure.
Not that there's other people, like, if I'm moving good, right? But there might be something small that I'm missing, and I just don't see it. But other people aren't moving as good in the class, so they definitely get the more attention. Okay. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I get the least amount of coaching. I still get coached, and I still get yelled at and stuff, which is cool. But to have someone to answer to definitely is critical. And it's been a game changer for me on the knowledge side. And I told him that I was really doing it to really learn a lot about it. And he's like, dude, I don't care. He's like, everything I know is out there for free. He's like, but I've just put the time in to get it in order. And
so you're saying, you mentioned the paleo wave and the in the zone. With the CrossFitters that you're encountering now, in terms of their age and exposure to CrossFit, do you still come across a lot of people that ever followed paleo or zone? Or but I think maybe even some of that goes back to the flash that was Atkins. Cut out the carbs, you lose weight. Do you still find people that have latched onto that?
I've never talked to anybody that does paleo anymore. I don't talk to anybody that's on Atkins. CrossFitters are just a little bit more in tune with themselves. Like they really are. I mean, I don't know. We kind of find what works and we kind of go with it. And then when it stops working, we're like, well, what's next? And then
the adaptation aspect of what we do.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that's it. You know, most people in our gym, they don't eat like crap all the time. They just eat like crap too much. And
Okay, that's fair.
you know what I mean? Like I can choose to eat bad right now and it's not going to affect me. Right. But I'll know tomorrow I'm not doing it. You know, I have that control.
Yeah.
People who don't have that control, they eat bad. Maybe it's 2 or 3 times a week. Well, they don't put enough work in to offset that.
Okay.
Right. And then in return, they're just going to start storing that fat. So they eat good most of the time, but it might be like 60% where it really needs to be like 90-10 if you're really going to try to get that. And then when you're really dialed in, like we've been competing so much, like I'm not like I've kept myself even after competitions. I don't even go get ice cream. Like it's my biggest thing, and it's really a free day for me. I don't even
Because you burned all those calories after a comp.
Yeah, it's really I don't even have to track what I eat technically, but I can eat whatever. But that's just because we're in such a huge competition phase that we're getting double refeeds. We're really just kind of ramping up our carbohydrates and stuff and fats and protein to make sure our bodies are recovering in between competitions. But yeah, I think I don't know where the hell I'm going with that.
But I think overall the biggest thing that you need to identify is what works for you based off your lifestyle. You know, some people, I mean, again, most of the people listening to the show are CrossFitters, but some people work out, 6 days a week, and some people work out 2 or 3 days a week. And like you said, that contributes to what you can allow yourself in terms of grace when it comes to cheat days, or maybe I'm not eating as much carbs as I should, or maybe I'm eating a little bit too much fat, but it's all relative to each individual and what their lifestyle dictates.
And you just said something we talked about pre-show was cheat day. I don't like that. I hate cheat days. I really don't like. There's no such thing. It's in my opinion. I think that it's okay if you're dialed in nutrition wise to eat whatever. If you're out and you want to have dessert and you want to eat chicken wings, that's okay. It's not really a cheat day. It's a life. You know what I mean? Don't take this so serious. And I touched on it way back. Don't be the douchebag that turns on a piece of cake at your nephew's birthday party because
# eat the damn cake.
Eat the cake. Like honestly, and like I told you, I still will take your cake. Send it to me, and Mo, send him a piece too. He'll want cake too.
I'll eat it. Yeah.
But don't be that big of a douchebag to where, oh no, I can't eat that cake. No, yeah, you can eat the cake, bro, because you're dialed the hell in.
Yeah.
But if you are 35% body fat, okay, and we really got to psychologically get you tuned into what it's like to stay in this groove of proper nutrition. I tell my people who are in that position, this first month, dude, you gotta be hardcore. You have to, because you have to switch your mind. And that's the
hardest part about everything that we talked about today.
It's all wrapped in the mind.
Is the psychological aspect and the attachment that most Americans have with food, the fascination, the romance, the love of food. Like I don't know if I said it in this show earlier, but we attach so many things to food. We attach moments of great achievement with food. We
depression
attach moments of challenge and strife with food. We challenge success as a team with food. It's what we do, and it's really hard to detrain yourself when you've been raised like that. Because
you may have been doing it for 15 or 20 years. You've been overweight.
Yeah.
So
or even if you have been in an appropriate weight, your body composition might be jacked up just because you fit in those charts. And
that's what I tell the people that I work with that are overweight. That need to be dialed in 100% that first month is look, prove to yourself that you can do it. Flip that mindset of, you're going to always be this way, right? They're going to get great return out of it. They're going to learn a lot. Then when we meet again, then we'll start talking like, okay, it's okay to do it once in a while. And then it'll come down to, as long as that progresses, then now it'll come down to, all right, if you do it once a week, it's not that big of a deal, right? You like to go out, say you have a special activity to do with your family, and you like to go get ice cream on Sundays or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Don't feel guilty about it if you're doing it once a week. But initially, you just got to be smart and change.
You got to shock
mind,
yourself
because you will fall right back into that line of that comfort food eating, and it is going to take over it. And they said sugar is the more addicting than cocaine.
Yeah.
And testing. So I believe it. So you gotta get rid of that. And no one loves sugar more than I do. It's I'm not a savory person. I want like sugar.
Sweet,
yeah. And so I think that's the difference is you got to flip the mindset. You got to just stay focused on it, and then you'll reap the rewards of being dedicated to it, not only through fitness, not only through the way you're going to look, but you're able to go out and smash some pizza and not even think about it.
All right. So this week's call to action. Why don't you go ahead and share with us on Instagram and Facebook some of your best your best meal recipes out there that you do for meal prep. Tell us what give us all the ingredients, give us all the measurements and everything. Maybe it's something we could use, something we never thought about. Because everybody likes new recipes. Yeah,
dude, I'll post I post it on my personal thing, and it's one of my go-tos every morning is a smoothie. It's around like 74 grams of carbs. It's about 40 grams of fat, and there's no protein, about 8 grams of protein, but I do a double scoop shake in the morning with it. But calorie-wise and carb-wise, it kicks me off. It's one of my favorite things, and since I've been eating these, man, I don't even crave the sweets anymore. I really don't, because it's all fruit, coconut oil, coconut water.
Yeah, if you've never incorporated smoothies into your life, especially like early in the day, it's legit. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'll put that up there. It definitely is a go-to of mine, and it can be dictated based off of what your numbers are. You can reduce it easily on the number side.
Got anything else to close this week's episode out with?
No, I say nah, but just all the time. I think the biggest thing is if you're doing CrossFit, you're putting in so much work. Okay, let's say you do go 5 days a week and you do a community or you do extra work through the week. Do not limit yourself by eating bad. Okay, because you can go through the workouts and you can do the extra work and you can have a bad diet doing it. But what you're really doing a disservice is to your recovery and your growth as an athlete, the muscle growth, the strength, and everything goes into that diet. Okay. Because you can go through the motions on the extra work, but what happens if you hit it harder and with more intensity because you have the absolute fuel to do so? You're going to find out the difference between an 8-minute Fran and a 3-minute Fran. There's a huge difference when you hit it with the intensity factor.
When you have the fuel to drive yourself that much harder, that much longer.
Yeah. If you don't know anything about nutrition, ask me questions. If I know a lot, and I'm very maybe I'm self-conscious that I don't know enough about nutrition, but I think I do know quite a bit. And or find a nutrition coach. Yeah. It's not cheap. If you need a referral, I will always refer Anthony. Great dude, definitely affordable for one-on-one coaching. But there's other avenues to also explore. You can do it for a couple of months and get in that groove
and get the understanding,
and then branch off. Yep.
And pretty much anything's better than eating fast food 3 or 4 days a week. You cut that out right off the bat, and you'll see some improvements.
I got the funniest story to end this with. So we had a kids class the other day, and I took Pat and Gina's son home, Gideon, because they had some stuff going on for work and Bible study. So I'm taking him home. I'm like, hey, bro, you want some McDonald's? Because he loves McDonald's. So we go through I'm in the drive-thru, and I pull up, and like it's been literally maybe 10 years
since you've been to McDonald's
through a drive-thru. Yeah. Like I was sitting there flubbering. I messed up my order 3 times. She was getting pissed at me. It's like, just pick your number. I try to order a number 1 Happy Meal, and it's like not what it is. You get options now of what you want in your Happy Meal.
Do you want apples?
Yes. And that's what I was doing. I was like, I want a number 1 Happy Meal and a plain cheeseburger. She says, what? I'm like, oh man, I was like, Gideon, I need some help. Like, I don't even know how to order.
I made you order for me.
Yeah, I don't even know what I want. Like, so yeah, it was pretty funny.
All right, and with that, it brings this episode to a close. I'm Mo and I'm out.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the One More Rep Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at One More Rep Podcast, or on Twitter at Can I Get One More. or shoot us an email at canigetonmore@gmail.com.
He went from a 110 push press to, actually, it's more than that, 85 pound or 90 pound, because he went from 110 to 190, so 80 pounds.
Okay.
Let me redo that. Don't know how to fucking add. Like 2 + 2 is 12. Fucking idiot.
The window.
Right, yeah. Working with him.
And Anthony is his background.
He's not. Yeah, he's a affiliate owner out of Indiana, and he's an affiliate owner out of Indiana. Fuck,